Yo, what is up? Welcome to this edition of what normally would be the CE playlist, but we've got a special edition here for you today, and we'll get back to the playlist next week. We have our good friend, Mr. Chris Swan of Soul Motivation Records, who sat down with us via Skype for a great interview. This guy is on fire with motivation, and he's got so much good information to pass on to anyone who is struggling with any kind of addiction. He's been through 2 addictions now, and he's conquered and conquering them both. So be sure to get on the socials, say hi to Chris Swan. That's Chris, S-W-A-N, and Soul Motivation Records on the socials, and soulmotivationrecords.com on the interwebs. And without further introduction, ladies and gentlemen, here's Chris Swan.
Had nothing to give. I thought I never would succeed in this life and live the rest of all my days broken, lonely solitude, asking for change from every woman and child and dude. I thought my life was a joke and God was laughing at me. I thought that everyone was in on it, slap happy. Well, I was doomed from day one, I should call it quits. But really deep down inside, I knew this wasn't it. Somebody told me it's a choice and I LOL. Peace be held, I could never be well. But then I started thinking, what if it's true and all I had to do was choose? I knew I had nothing to lose. I started telling myself that I was rich, had all the money, love, and opportunity, which led to seeing things different and starting to change. And then it all started to rearrange. Now I can say, I don't need another dollar. I got enough of it, why bother to be on a leash and a collar? Just trying to keep up, you see. I don't need another lover. I got enough love surrounding me. I wanna give it to another. There's plenty to go round. I'm living abundantly. I was sick and tired of being so sick and tired. I knew that I would expire if I didn't start thinking higher. My mind was still on fire from living life as a liar. I had to start telling the truth, or I might as well retire. I remembered life as a youth and how I lived and wonder if I could get that back, I could keep from going under. So I focused on love and light, a new attitude, getting up every day and focusing on gratitude. Thankful for those who love me, thankful for food to eat. I got a bed to sleep on and got shoes on my feet, and I got life and purpose and all this music too. Why did it take so long now for me to see the truth? My life is crazy blessed, just had to choose to see. And once I did, I started living life abundantly. My life is crazy blessed, just had to choose to see. And once I did, I started living life abundantly. I don't need another dollar. I got enough of it, why bother to be on a leash and a collar? Just trying to keep up, you see. I don't need another lover. I got enough love surrounding me. I wanna give it to another. Cause there's plenty to go round. I'm living abundantly. I don't need another dollar. I got enough of it, why bother to be on a leash and a collar? Just trying to keep up, you see. I don't need another lover. I got enough love surrounding me. I wanna give it to another. Cause there's plenty to go round. I'm living abundantly. Cause there's plenty to go round. I'm living abundantly. Cause there's plenty to go round. I'm living abundantly. Yo, the choice is up to you. How you wanna live? You wanna be broke or you wanna be rich in love? It's your choice.
Hey, welcome back to yet another edition of the Cerebral Entertainment Podcast. I am James, and with me, as always, is my good friend Colt.
You know it.
And on the line with us today, we have Mr. Soul Motivation himself, Chris Swan. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Great.
We're doing awesome, dude. It's great to have you on the line today. Like I mentioned before we started recording, man, I've been tracking you on Facebook quite a bit, and I know you're going through a lot of positive change in your life right now. So I definitely want to discuss that. But before we go any further, let's just talk about just how you're doing, man. What's going on with you today?
Yeah, man. Thanks. Again, thanks for having me on the show, man. Love what you guys do, and just honored to be a part of it, man. So it's good to hear your voices and good to be able to chat a little bit today. And yeah, things are good, man. Life has been busy and crazy, but good, busy, and playing a lot of music. And I'm very blessed to be able to do that. And I teach as well. I teach piano, and I got a lot of students and doing that. And just spend the rest of my time working on Soul Motivation Records, and really most of my time on that. And it's been really great to see some growth happen, and just been connecting with a lot of people, and just had this new album come out, Welcome to the Fellowship. So just been having fun promoting that and reaching new people, and actually starting to do some live shows too with that music as well. So yeah, man. I mean, things are good. Things are really good and busy. But that's the way I like it, because it keeps me out of trouble, as they say. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good, man. Definitely good.
That's good. Are you still playing like the dueling piano, the piano bars and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I still gig about 5 or 6 nights a week, and most of that is dueling pianos. I work for a company called the Dueling Hobbits, and we play a lot of like private parties and stuff like that. So doing a lot of that, but I'm also playing a piano bar here in St. Louis a little bit called the Hideaway. And that's been fun. Just kind of playing there. That's just solo piano bar, but I'm sitting there taking requests. So yeah, still doing that. That kind of helps pay the bills and stuff, and as well as playing some jazz around town and playing with my band Skywest Trio. So there's just a lot of different, that's kind of, how to make a living as a musician. You just got to diversify as much as you can, so just have a lot of different things going on like that. But yeah, I'm thankful to be able to play a lot and, and pay my bills with music, man, which is not always easy to do. So it's really awesome.
Isn't the Hideaway that place that Tim Levy was playing at for that Tom Waits tribute?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
Thought so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice little spot over there. But yeah, it's always very, I get excited when I know that people can do their whatever it is they're passionate about. Music, man. I mean, honestly, the market's saturated. There's a lot of musicians out there. There are a lot of bands and solo artists out there trying to make a living off of doing music, and most of them, as far as I can see, are not able to do that. And it's not necessarily even because of a lack of talent. At least not for most of them. There's no lack of talent out there. It's just a matter of being able to do that on the in the job market to actually pull in enough money to pay the bills with music. That's awesome, and I applaud you for that for sure, man. Because that's a standout thing to do. Is to be able to support yourself playing music.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough, and I'm very blessed to be able to do it. So yeah, I appreciate that, man.
It's awesome.
So it's probably been at least a year, right, since you've been on the show, Chris?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I think it was at least a year, probably just maybe a little longer than that. So
right. So you said you've seen a lot of growth since then?
Yeah, it's been good. I think last time we talked, I just kind of launched Soul Motivation Records, and I had one album out, maybe another project as well. But yeah, it takes, it's been, I launched the company, it's been still only a year and a half, so still pretty young company, but yeah, it's been fun to really see, after I got a few records under my belt, you start getting some music out there, really starting to connect with people. And honestly, I've been studying a lot of marketing stuff, taking some courses and all that kind of stuff, and just learning how to connect with people and how to find people that need to hear that message. And that's just been super helpful, and I think really and it's cool because it's what I want to talk about anyway, but kind of really honing in on my path to recovery and all that stuff, like overcoming drinking and food addiction and getting healthy and all that. That's what I really write a lot about. And I just have found that there's just a lot of people out there that need to hear that they can overcome that stuff. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people struggling, and that's really who I want to hang out with and make music for and stuff like that. And so it's been really cool to start to connect with some of those people and see, things grow a little bit on social media and some of those numbers grow as well. But it's really the one-on-one conversations that have been super awesome. Like just, when you hear that your music is really resonating with somebody and, hey, I needed to hear this and this song really helped me today. Like that's the stuff, dude. Like that's the stuff that makes you want to get up and do it again tomorrow, Right. And so it's really cool. Been having more and more people reach out in that way. And, just really means a lot to me. And so that just reminds me that, dude, people need to hear this stuff. And I'm going to keep making music that's going to help people,
Yeah, you're a therapist. You know that, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's like musical therapy, man. It really is. I even kind of considered like, should I go to school and get my LPC or whatever? I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but so, I have to give that disclaimer. I'm not technically a licensed counselor, but my whole family is. So my dad does and my sister too, So, but anyway, but yeah, that's what it is, man. I just want to, we all have our gifts and our talents, and I knew music was mine. And I was like, how can I use my talents to like help people? I want my life and my work to mean something. I'm not just trying to make money or be rich and famous. And I want like what I do to make a difference in the world, And so yeah, if we can just kind of figure out, what our talent is and find a way to do that, then we're really, really lucky to do that. And so, yeah, mine has just been kind of like therapy, like kind of counseling people and encouraging people. And that's what I love to do, and I've been able to do more and more of that. So it's been awesome.
Well, for people who haven't heard since last year or whenever it was that we first sat with you, or some people might be hearing for the first time, let's talk about Soul Motivation Records for a minute. This is a record label that you started, like you said, about a year and a half ago. And one of the things I find interesting that maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that a lot of record labels really start out with this kind of a mission in sight, like what you have. So talk to us a little bit about your philosophy behind Soul Motivation Records and what that means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our whole thing is, you can call it motivational music, or I call it music that helps, but it's hip hop and R&B music that helps, that inspires people, that encourages people. And I really, exactly what you just said, when I kind of started the company, just trying to figure out what exactly direction I wanted to go, it really felt like there was a lack of, for lack of a better word, motivational music. You can buy, like music, you can buy instrumental music to put on your, YouTube video where you're encouraging people or whatever. That's kind of motivational in style, but there's no like real record company or even real like artists that seem to be really focusing on that. Now, since founding the company, I am starting to find more and more like here and there, which is great. I'm trying to connect with these people and network with these people as far as individual artists that kind of have that same, motivation or whatever. But yeah, I've never seen a record label that really just is all about that. It's maybe a byproduct, but it's not usually the main focus. So when I started the company, I wanted it to be, again, like kind of what I said, I just wanted it to be about helping people and inspiring people and encouraging people and making a change in the world. I don't care about becoming a famous rock star. 30 years ago I did when I was a kid, like, yeah, I'm going to be a famous rapper someday, but I really just don't care. I'm older now. I'm just like, I don't care about that, man. I want my company to be successful, and I'd like to be able to do it full time and make, and all that kind of stuff. But what matters to me is like how it can affect people's lives, because there's just so much negativity in the world, man. And there always has been, but especially the last few years, it's just, especially on social media, it's just even hard to go on anymore. Just, everybody is just fighting all the time, and just, I'm right, you're wrong. There's a lot of that. And I felt it myself. I felt like, dude, like, what's the point of getting up today if all it's going to do is just depress me, you know? And I've been there. I've been, you know, to that point of really being depressed and all that. And I just feel like there needs to be more voices out there that are telling people like, no, dude, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, actually, hope is alive. Positivity is alive. It's just where you look, where are you spending your time? Who are you hanging out with? You know what I mean? And so I wanted to make music and have a company and make a presence in the world that is really based on hope and positivity and possibility. And I want people to see that and be like, okay, I don't have to just live in this negativity bubble. Like, the hope is still there. Possibility is still there. It never went away. So I just need to start looking in a different direction. And so that's what Soul Motivation Music or Soul Motivation Records is all about. And, you know, music is one of the most powerful tools we have as far as like how it affects us emotionally, you know. So if you can take that message of positivity and hope and mix it with like this music that really reaches us on a deeper level, then you can literally change people's lives. You know what I mean? And I know music has changed mine. That's what music did for me. And so that's what Soul Motivation Records is all about, is just taking this powerful form of music and mix it with this message of hope and positivity, and to really insert it into people's lives wherever they are. You know what I mean? And so that's really the mission there.
Yeah, and you hit a couple of nails on their respective heads there. The first one being social media, you know, and the negativity that you can find there. I was just talking with Cultus yesterday morning, but also a friend of mine before. And he had given up on Facebook. He had turned it off. He canceled his account, whatever. So I'm not, you know, forget Facebook. It's nothing but negativity, mostly political fighting, you know, things like that. And you know, I felt the need to advise him in my perspective. I said, you know, Facebook is what you make of it. You know, it's kind of, so is life. Such is life, is that, you know, it is what you make of it. You can choose to look at the negativity, and there's no shortage of it. You know, and as far as the socials go, not even just the overt negativity, but the, hey, look at what I am, look at what I'm doing, look at me, you know, and so it is very uplifting and optimistic, an optimistic perspective that you shed, Chris, when you put things on social media for the sake of others. You know, your mission is to help uplift other people, and not just say, hey, look at what I'm doing. And so that's a very stark point of why Soul Motivation is motivating.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate that.
Kind of a light in the darkness, you know?
Yeah, that's funny you say that. That was my first mission statement, was I want to be a light where it's dark. You know, that's exactly how I worded it. So yeah, that's totally it, man. Absolutely.
So have you signed any new artists with Soul over the past year?
So haven't yet. You know, really was the first year was just kind of about growth and establishing, you know, our footing. You know, but I'm really excited about 2019. So I am now actually in discussions with a couple different artists, or looking at a couple different artists and discussing with one. So yeah, in 2019 we'll be signing our first new artist, and so just kind of deciding. You know, it's just a process to make sure like our values line up and all that kind of stuff. And, but yeah, there's definitely a few people I'm talking to, and I'm really excited about that, because that's definitely something I've been wanting to do since I founded, you know, is be able to work with other artists and have another voice out there of positivity, but also to be able to, like, you know, help them as an artist, you know. That's part of it too. I wanted the label to be established enough and have our systems in place so that when I sign an artist, I can actually do something for them. You know, not just like, okay, I'll put your stuff on Spotify and good luck, you know. You know, but I want to be able to like have the systems in place and the relationships and all that to be able to like actually help them grow and reach people, you know. And so now, you know, we're getting to that place where we can do that. So that's why I want to start now, you know, in 2019 for sure, we'll be signing at least one new artist, and be able to start doing that for them as well, and have this, you know, my goal is just to have this roster of artists that are out there changing the world, man, you know. And there's just certain things that an artist has to have in order for me to sign them, you know. And so that might slow down the process a little bit, because I'm not going to just sign anybody who has some music. You know, you got to be positive. You got to have a message of hope. You don't have to be quote unquote motivational, but you do have to have a message of positivity that's going to inspire people. You know what I mean? And on like that. So I just want to make sure that I'm finding people that really line up with that. But as I do, we're going to start setting them up, and I'm excited to grow in that way as well.
That's very good. It's going to be kind of a two-sided coin. Probably it's going to be exciting to have someone on your label, but also it's another responsibility that you have. Hey, does that make you nervous at all to know that you're going to kind of have their at least a piece of their career in your hands?
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, a little bit nervous, but that's why I haven't rushed into it, because I wanted to make sure I was ready for it, because that's exactly it. I don't want to make all these promises to somebody and then like not do anything, so that's why I've kind of, just made sure we're in a place as a company that we can really do something for this artist, and that's why I've waited. So yeah, it is a lot of responsibility, but I do take it very seriously. It's not just like, let's see what happens, and see if they can benefit us. It's like, no, I want to see if we can benefit them, see if we can help their career, and make sure I have the time and money and all that stuff to put into them to really, help them succeed. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited about it, but yeah, there's definitely, that's going to bring a whole nother level of workload and just focus. And again, that's why I'm just kind of taking my time to make sure it's really the right fit. But once it is, then we'll go all in and we'll make it happen. So I'm excited about that. And for sure, I'll keep you guys posted, but for sure over this next year, we'll be making some announcements on that and promoting some new stuff. So excited to do that.
Yeah, we'll be looking for it. And if you're anything like me, when you are responsible for something or somebody else, it also kind of ups the ante. It kind of ups the focus, ups the motivation.
Absolutely.
I tend to put that much more into it because I know I've got this other person on board with me, or these people, or whatever. That's what my kids are good for a lot. They keep me motivated.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, I got to feed these little boogers for at least another 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
that's a major reason to get up to work and try to get a promotion or whatever it is that you're doing in life, just to stay motivated so that you can do the best that you can for them. And
have you tried not feeding them? Have you seen what happens?
Yeah, they won't let
true.
me. They,
I was going to say.
You don't know until you try.
Right.
That's right. Give it a shot.
No, it's good. I also feel like, Chris, your perspective though will definitely keep you on the right path as well, because you do have such an optimistic and helpful perspective on what it is that you're doing. That way grafting someone in is just going to be an extension of that, I feel like, and you're just going to it's just going to add to the probably to the energy, I would assume.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Earlier you mentioned something about, of course, you mentioned the drinking issue that you are now. Well, you're in recovery now. We'll just put the umbrella term out there that you are in recovery. But you mentioned eating. I want to talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. What's it mean to have an eating addiction or a food addiction?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that, because I think everybody knows about I've accepted alcoholism and stuff as a thing, and we can kind of get our heads around the alcohol thing, and all you got to do is stop drinking, and not that that's easy, but we kind of understand that. But a lot of people don't understand the food thing. They're like, what a food addict? What is that? And it's a very real thing. And it wasn't until I joined OA, which is Overeaters Anonymous, that I really realized, there's a lot of us. This is not a small problem. There's a lot of us, So, so the thing with the real thing is, when it comes to any kind of bad behavior like that, whether it's drinking, drugs, sex, food, whatever it is, gambling, those are all symptoms of the same problem. You know what I mean? We all have the same problem. We have this addictive personality. And a lot of times we just say that and we leave it alone, and okay, what does that mean, right? What does addictive personality mean? And so when you go into the rooms of OA or AA or anybody who's kind of been into that at all, they understand that it's the 12 steps. It's a 12-step program of recovery. And the whole thing is that we believe that we have a disease. It's an actual, like a physical disease, or some people call it like an allergy, that when we partake in a certain substance, it triggers craving in us that we can't stop. And then that triggers our obsession of our mind where we just want to continue to get this fix constantly, right? So we've all seen that with heroin or Coke or even alcohol, right? We kind of understand that because we probably all kind of know somebody who's been affected by that, right? Where, yeah, okay, I can see how that works. They definitely have that thing, right? They're not normal. They have that thing where they have one drink and then you don't see them for 3 days and they end up in a gutter, we all know people like that. And we can understand it with substances, but it's harder to understand with food. So what it is with food, it's the same thing. And what we talk about in OA is like, basically we have trigger foods. So there's certain foods that is like an alcohol reaction. So we call it our alcoholic foods or our alcoholic foods. So I have certain foods that trigger in me this disease. They trigger this obsession and this craving, and I just can't stop, and now, not to say I'm a victim here, because like we can stop, but we need help to stop. And again, we believe, in a higher power. And I believe in God, but it's not the same for everybody. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, that it's not always the, God of the Catholic Church or something. It can be whatever you believe in, the universe, love, another, whatever it is for you, another entity. But anyway, we believe that, you can give that up to your higher power, and the higher power gives you the power to then walk away from whatever it is that's triggering that. So for food, for me, like I had my addictions with, like cheese and ice cream, stuff like that. Usually it's sugar, and it's white flour and like processed foods, that kind of stuff. Right. Mm-hmm. So the big thing for me is like, I just was stuck, just like any addiction, it becomes the only thing you want to live for, So I'd go through my day, I'd be really busy. I'd do my gigs, do my lessons, and then I would look forward to having a big meal in front of the TV every night. I'm going to eat a pizza, and then I'm going to have ice cream, and then I'm going to eat chips. And, just like over the top, like beyond being full, you just keep eating, right, until you're in pain. And then you wake up the next day feeling like crap, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And then the next night you're like doing it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're just stuck in this cycle, So it's the same thing, whatever your drug is, it's the same cycle of just like, oh, all I want to do is do that. So I was just stuck in that, I had that with drinking too. And I did quit drinking because I ended up in the ER, and it was really scary, and it was enough to make me go, okay, I'm done. But then after I quit drinking, I just turned to food. So I just took my addiction and put it on something else. And then I just went hardcore with food, and I gained, a lot of weight over a couple of years. I was the biggest I'd ever been. I was 500 plus pounds, and miserable, man. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It was terrible. So, obviously, okay, I quit drinking, but there's still some problem here. You know what I mean? And so, it's when I went to OA and started really learning about the 12 steps and learning about this disease that I have, and some people debate that. That's fine. But I believe that I've really seen it in my life. Like that, it's true. It's true for me. Like I have this disease. And once I could kind of see that, then I could see, okay, I have this physical disease. So then there is an actual cure for this disease. And the cure is abstinence. And so what that means is I had to get certain foods out of my life. You know what I mean? And I can't practice moderation, I can't, okay, I can have this every once in a while. That's what most people will tell you. Like it's healthy to just have pizza every once in a while. I can't do that because if I have one piece of pizza, then I'm binging on pizza for a month every day.
It's just like kind of just like telling somebody that you can just have a little bit of heroin when they're a heroin addict, yes, right?
Exactly, yeah. Dude. Exactly. It's the same thing. Food is heroin to me, like certain foods. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly the same thing, man. That's exactly it. So I can't just have a little bit of this because it's just going to trigger this thing. Now, if you don't understand that and you're like, what? Why can't you just eat a little bit of pizza? Then you're probably what we call a normie, right? How adorable is that? You're probably a normal person that doesn't have this disease. You don't have it. You can practice moderation. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. That's great. And you can probably live a very healthy life that way. But there's the rest of us that don't have, that have this disease, and we can't do it. And so once you realize that and really admit that, then you can see the hope that I can actually get better. I just have to let go of these foods. And so now I have a meal plan. I have a nutritionist that I work with. I write a meal plan every single day. I follow it to the T. I weigh and measure all my food. And that sounds like crazy over the top obsessive behavior, but it's life-giving, because what it does is it takes away the obsession. By taking away my choice, by taking away, I get to choose what I'm going to eat, but by taking away the choice in the moment, I can't go, oh, well, maybe I'll have a little bit more of that or a little bit more of this. And once you start doing that, you go down the road, and then the next thing you know, you're just binging every night.
Yeah, you're taking away the impulse, right? You're taking away that, like you said, the choice in the moment.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's where that's kind of where you tend to go wrong is when you're not prepared. And this goes for not just food, people being addicted to food, but any substance. If you're not prepared for the inevitable occurrence when something is in front of you, then you're going to fail. You're not going to succeed at turning away from it.
Right? That's exactly it, dude. That's exactly it. It's just all about being prepared. So when that time comes, like, no, I'm not going to eat this. If I'm at a party and they're like, here's some ice cream, I'm like, no, dude, I got my meal plan. That's not on my meal plan. I'm not doing it.
It also gives you a routine. So, you understand that as long as you don't stray away from that routine, you're going to be fine.
That's totally it. I think a lot of addicts struggle with discipline, right? Mm-hmm. We just want to do what we want to do, like little kids throwing a temper tantrum, And so exactly, that's why you hear a lot about, like, when you go to rehab, they make you make your bed every day, and they make you, do these certain things. It's because we need that discipline and routine in our life. And so that's exactly it, dude. That's totally it. Like, the meal plan is just a good routine. It gets you into a discipline. And it's hard at first, but you know that you want it enough because you're miserable enough. And then, just like anything else, the new good habits get created. And the next thing you know, that stuff is out of your life. But you got to choose to get up every day and work on it. Because the minute you're like, okay, I got this, I'm good now, that's the minute you go, oh, I can probably have one piece of pizza because I'm good now. And then the next thing you know, you weigh 500 pounds again and you're miserable. You know what I mean? So you just have to stay vigilant every day on it now. And that's what I do. I wake up every day and I have a meal plan, and I have a sponsor that I talk to every day. And I have meetings that I go to, and I do reading and writing every day. It's just kind of a discipline I do every morning. And that sets me up for success every day. And man, I feel awesome. I've lost 109 pounds.
Wow.
In 7 months. Yeah. And
so did that start, did you start doing that on your own, or was that about the same time as you started working with your nutritionist?
Yeah, no, I did it. No, it was not on my own. Okay. That's when I joined OA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I actually went to a retreat in Minneapolis called CORE. So it was a food retreat. I didn't understand that it was OA or 12 steps. I don't think I knew that. Maybe I did kind of know that, but I didn't know what that meant. So I went to this retreat. It was a 5-day thing, like rehab for food, basically, right? And but yeah, that's everything changed. My life changed there. So I started learning about the 12 steps and what I needed to do, and that I wasn't alone, and that I wasn't a freak who just couldn't stop eating. That I actually had this disease, and there was a solution. And bam, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm doing this. And I went all in. And so, yeah, that's when I got the nutritionist and the sponsor. And then, yeah, I just worked the program every day,
So how much better do you feel now?
I was just having this conversation with my sponsor. Like, it's ridiculously different. It's only been 7 months. And looking back, it was May when I went to the retreat. And looking back, I feel like I'm a completely different person. I know that's kind of a cliche thing, but honestly, like I couldn't walk more than like 10 feet. I was wheezing all the time. I had asthma. I was pre-diabetic. I couldn't stand up because my knees hurt so bad. Like, I would get up. It was bad. And I just can't even believe that was me 6-7 months ago. Like, I feel completely different. I'm still recovering. I'm still healing. I'm not like out there, ready to go to the Olympics or something, but I can function. I can walk. I can move. The wheezing is gone. The asthma's gone. I can move better. I feel better. But the best part is I'm more motivated and I have better mental clarity and stuff like that. So every day I'm just like, I have the energy and motivation to like work on my business and work on my music and do what I'm passionate about. So then in return, I get all this awesome joy and satisfaction from doing that. So there's all this joy and love and possibility and all this stuff that's coming back into my life that felt like it was gone when I was using,
Right. So you said 109 pounds in 7 months?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, pretty insane. And yeah, I know. And I'm grateful for each and every one of it. And the thing is this was not like, oh, I'm going on a diet and I can't eat, this, and I got to go to the gym for 4 hours every day. I don't do any of that. I just eat a meal. I eat a lot of food. I eat 6 times a day, 5 times a day. And I eat like a good amount of food. It's just cleaner, better quality food,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I don't exercise nearly as much as I should. I'm working on trying to get out, walk more and stuff, but that's even without going to the gym or anything. So it's just a matter of changing those habits and getting your body functioning right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that your routine might be considered a little over the top, but honestly, that sounds like anyone who's really interested in nutrition, health and nutrition, that sounds like their routine. So
that's
that's
what they do, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're overweight or not. If they're within their ideal weight, people who are very concerned about nutrition follow that kind of a regimen. It's what you have to do. And so it sounds to me like you're right on track, but very motivational, man. One of the hopes that I have is that people who hear this, who feel like they might be on that track, can catch it early, right? I mean, how awesome would that be if someone who was on the track to go down the road that you were on in full force, if they could catch it early? What if you would have caught it, Chris, 50, 100 pounds before it got to where it got to, and how much more, better off would you have been if you would have been able to catch it earlier?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like that's a big thing in the big book, which is like the Alcoholics Anonymous book that we all,
Oh yeah.
It's like the Bible of AA or OA or whatever. Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, it's a big thing is like, man, don't wait. You don't have to wait till you hit your rock bottom. Like if you sense that in yourself, you have that problem, you can do it now. Like you can, and you will, exactly what you just said. It'll be so much better. You'll get so many more years out of your life. You'll eliminate a lot of suffering from your life. Like you don't have to wait until it gets super bad. And I promise it will. If you are one of those people, it will. So you don't have to wait for that. Like you can change now and you can do things you don't think you can do, but you can do them. The tools are there in the program. Just get to a meeting and they'll show you how, or go to OA or AA.org, and they'll show you how.
Find some way that works, right? Because I know that one of the, I think it's the first step in the big book is realizing that you're powerless against whatever it is that that you're addicted to, and that's huge. Chris, I like to smoke cigarettes. I've quit again, but there's just, it's something I enjoy, even though I know it's not good for me. And the thing is, I would like to enjoy a cigarette just every once in a while, just on an evening here and there, something like that, to be able to smoke a cigarette and to relax. But I can't do that. I can't do that. If I smoke, I can start out slow, but then it gains momentum. It gets worse. It gets worse and gets worse. And next thing you know, I'm back to half a pack a day or so. So I, at some point in time, I had to realize, what? It's just not, you're not like that. Because I have friends who can do it. I have friends who can just smoke every once in a while and they're just fine. That's not me. I just can't do that. And I have to realize that. So in a sense, that is kind of like my step one, to know that I'm powerless against that cigarette, because eventually it's going to get the best of me. And I think oftentimes that's the hardest thing for people to do, for free-spirited people to say that, I am powerless against this thing, something like that, seemingly such a small thing. For us to admit that, it is probably that's why it's the first step, I'm sure, because it is the most difficult hurdle to get over for almost anything that you might be addicted to.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. I remember going up to this retreat. I was driving up there. I was in Minneapolis. And the whole time I was like, dude, I don't even know if I can do step one. I think I had kind of looked at the steps before I went or whatever. I mean, I'd seen them before because I went to a couple of AA meetings. And I was just like, dude, I don't even think I can do step one, because I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be one of these people who's like, oh, I can't stop, And I'm like, no way, dude, I can do this, And so, I think that stopped a lot of people. But when the way it was explained to me, and then it started to make sense, was that it's just like kind of what you said. Like, it's just admitting that you need help. It's not saying you're a victim or you can't do it. You're just saying that you need some help and some guidance and some support, And I think anybody who's struggling with something can say that, we need, even if it's just a friend to help us, we all need that. It's really hard to just do it on your own. And so really it's just saying, I like to think of it as like, you're powerless alone, but God and your sponsor and your meetings and your people, they're going to give you the power. You're going to have the power. It's just coming from outside of yourself. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I think that trips up a lot of people. And it's really hard to get past that. But that's the genius of the steps. It's like if you just literally take it one step at a time, it's designed for all us bitter, cynical people, It's designed to like get us through them because we all have these roadblocks. Like, oh, I'm not powerless. I'm not a victim. I can do whatever I want. And then you get to the spiritual part. It's like, oh, I don't know, man. Religion's kind of for people who are lost, and it's just a lie that, people came up with 1,000 years ago, whatever. All the stuff people say about religion and stuff. And I get that too because I was there too, But the way the steps are set up, they're baby steps. It's like, well, can you at least just say this? And you're like, yeah, okay, I can say that. And then that gets you to the next step. And you're like, well, can you say that there's at least a power that's bigger than you in the universe? Like, you're just a dick if you can't say that, right? I mean, like, there's some kind of power. Even if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But, like, there's something at work. Even if it's the organization of AA or OA, like, at least there's something bigger than you that can help you. And, as long as you can say that, then okay, that gets you in the door. You know what I mean? So it's just really genius the way they work to let you take the baby steps to get over your roadblocks, to get over the things that are stopping you. You know what I mean? And that's genius.
It is. It's been going on for a while now. I think when was the big book written? Back in the early 1900s? Is that
38, 39, I think.
Okay.
Published. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing to me that they had that kind of insight. I don't know why, but it amazes me they had that kind of insight back in 38, 39.
I know.
Into alcoholism because we didn't have the science back then, with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, food addiction, whatever the case. You mentioned it before, how it all kind of culminates from the same place. The origin of it is kind of the same thing, even though we're talking about different substances or behaviors.
Right.
For someone, but for someone who has a gambling addiction, there are these same chemicals that are flooding that pleasure center in their brain, the same as if someone was to put a substance in their body and cause the dopamine or serotonin triggers to take place. And so that's scientific, but for them to know that there's a step process to getting over oneself and getting free of this addiction, that's just pretty incredible to me. But I wonder, Chris, what is it about the higher power concept? Why is that such a powerful thing in overcoming addiction? What is that all about in your terms?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And really, if I'm, to be honest, again, it's what keeps people away from the steps because they think it's all about God, but it is, so I won't lie and say it's not. It is.
Right.
But the difference is, so what the 12 steps are designed to do, it's for spiritual health. It's to fix your spiritual health. Most of us are spiritually sick. And that doesn't mean you have to go to a Catholic church and do confession and, you know what I mean, accept the God of your parents. It means that you're spiritually sick. It means that you're holding on to shame, fear, guilt, and things that you've done to other people. And you're holding on to all this stuff, and it's keeping you isolated and disconnected from other people. And it's keeping you isolated and disconnected from your higher power, I believe to be God. Some people, you can, but that's the thing. First thing is you get to choose what you believe. You don't have to say, okay, in order to do this program, you have to believe in God and this is who God is. And if you don't believe this, then you're a sinner and you're going to hell. That's not what the 12 steps are. You get to define who God is to you. So that was a big thing for me because I grew up in a Christian home. But then I kind of walked away from it. I still believed in God, but I just didn't know about the details because I didn't want to just believe what my parents told me. I'm like, there's a whole world out there full of people who believe different things. And you're telling me my parents in Northern Michigan were the only ones that had it right, or, not the only ones, but you know what I mean? I just felt like, well, how can that be true if there's all this other stuff? And it kind of made me walk away, and I just was questioning what I believed. And here's what happened when I did that. I became miserable. I became sick. I became depressed, suicidal for a while, and I see it now, but I didn't see it then. But the reason was because I became disconnected from God. And that means I was disconnected from other people. I was disconnected from the world. You know what I mean? And so that's why I became so miserable and so sick, because I just held on to all my fear, my shame, every little thing I did. I was holding on to it. I didn't have anyone to give that to, like a God to go and talk to about it or whatever, we just hold on to all this stuff. And you can do that for a while, but eventually it's just going to pile up and pile up and pile up. And we all become really sick, and emotionally, spiritually sick. And I would say the 12 steps are not just for people with addictions. I think every single person in the world should go through the 12 steps, because it's not really about addiction. It's about becoming spiritually healthy. It's about letting go of all our resentment and fear and stuff that we hold on to. And it just makes you a more healthier, emotionally healthy person, So that's really what the steps are about. It's really not about quitting drinking or quitting eating. It's about getting healthy emotionally. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big thing, is like we can choose that. It doesn't have to be the God of organized religion. You can define it as what it is for you. And it's about a personal relationship with you and who you believe to be the higher power. That's it. Nobody else has anything to do with it. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to church. You don't have to go to confession. You just need to tap into what you believe is a power greater than you. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the big difference that a lot of people don't understand. They think it's like, oh, now I got to go to church and I got to become a Christian. Now that's what I believe. Yeah. And we can have that conversation if you want to, but that's not what you have to do to get well. That's not what you have to do to go through the 12 steps. You just have to find what it means for you. And that is hard for some people. Like, who is that? I don't know what that is, but there, again, you take these little baby steps that help you get there. You know what I mean? That help you figure it out. And there's, reading the big book helps you get there too. It's a guide, So yeah, I would say that like the spirituality and your relationship with God or higher power, it's what it's all about. It's not just a part of it. It's the whole thing. And you can do one of two things. You can reject it because you don't believe there's a God and you think everything is science and chance, and that's fine. And I believe in science, absolutely. It's all there. Yeah, totally. But, I would just say, how's that working for you? You know what I mean? Like, that's what somebody said to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I'm miserable and I want to kill myself. So obviously this is not working. I'm killing myself with food. Like, what am I doing? So I had to make that decision. What if I just chose to believe? What if I just let go of all my cynicism and just said, I believe in God, and I'm just going to look for him in the world and in my life? You know what I mean? What if I just did that? What have I got to lose, dude? Nothing. I have nothing to lose. What are you worried about? That like people are going to make fun of you or something? Well, who cares? How are your friends doing? Are they living the perfect life? Probably not. So like, dude, just like, what if we just decide to believe? And once I did that, dude, and I started looking for God working in my life, amazing. I started a list and I started seeing all these things. And I'm like, there's no way that's a coincidence. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's just like the more you tap into it, the more you give to God, the more you see God. And if that's the universe for you, or, the whole like law of attraction thing, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. So whether it's just this law of attraction, whatever you give to the universe, you get back, it's the same thing. And, you can call it the universe, God, whoever you call it. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's that principle. And it absolutely works. So once
on the note, Chris, of the universe, step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of, we're going to say, the universe, as we understand. I guess we can say it. What does that mean, to turn your life over to the care of the universe as we understand it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's just admitting that again, there's a power greater than you that you can rely on. So it just means I don't have to shoulder all my burdens alone, right? I am not alone. I'm not alone in the universe. I don't have to just, white knuckle it and get things done on my own. There is a greater power at work that I can rely on. And what that means is I can give something. If I'm struggling with something and I'm like, I can say, I need to give this over to the universe. I need the universe to help me overcome this addiction. I can't do this alone. And and the other side of that is then believing that the universe is going to help you. You know what I mean? If you say that, but you don't believe anything's going to happen, well, then you're not going to see it, because you're going to be thinking, oh yeah, let's see if this works. I doubt it. well then, yeah, you're not going to see anything if you don't believe it. But if you choose to see it, then you can give it, you feel this. I had a couple of spiritual experiences where I just felt these burdens lifted, all this guilt, all this shame, all this fear, like taken away from me, because I was willing to believe that there was something or somebody who could do that for me. And so I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you my problems, and I'm going to let you take control, and I'm going to ask that you just show me what you want me to do. It's kind of that, it's bowing down. It's like, it's giving up your self-will to be a little humble and just say that I don't have all the answers, and I need to, it's okay for me to not have the answers, and I'm just going to look for this higher power to show me where to go, and some people can't do that because they believe I'm a self-made man and I don't need anybody. And I get that. And if that's you, I hope you're happy. I hope you're fine. That's fine. I just know that I can't live that way because it wasn't working. You know what I mean?
And then moving on, Chris, to step 4. I'm going right down the list here so far, but
yeah,
this one I find interesting as well. Number 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. That could be a difficult task when you really want to get in depth with yourself and you really want to uncover some of those things that you bury deep. You're going to find some things that are uncomfortable, to say the least.
Yep.
And a lot of times you're going to find, at least in my experience, when I've done any kind of inventory of my depths, if you will. You're going to find a lot of questions that where you were looking for answers, you're going to find more questions. But I think it's important. I don't know, and you can educate me on this. I don't know how much that applies to overeating, to being a food addict. I know, like for substance use, oftentimes we can take moral inventory. We can self-analyze in order to uncover some of the reasons why we're doing some of the things to ourselves in the first place. There may be some uncovered trauma. There may be some hurt and disappointment, some frustration, fear, whatever the case may be, something that we're harboring that's negative within us that causes us to respond in a negative way, something that causes us to hurt ourselves. And so we've got to kind of dig those things out, as uncomfortable as it is at the time and maybe for some time. But until you uncover those things, then you're going to continue to commit some kind of self-harm, albeit maybe even passively. But we have to get those things out in the open before we can really express ourselves in a more positive light. Do you find that the eating, the food addiction also can kind of you can find those trails back to some of those hidden motives, that negativity inside?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So it's the same thing for me. And food was my first addiction. So it goes way back to being a kid. But the 4th step is the good stuff. The 4th step is probably the hardest part, but it's the best part. But in order for it to work, you have to be completely thorough and honest. You can't hold back. So what it really is it's not just thinking about okay, what's making me eat? That's not really the question. The question is, okay, it's mainly, who are my resentments? Who am I angry with? It's resentment. That's number 1. What are the things in the world that piss me off? Whether it's a person or a concept or a political organization or whatever. It can be a company. It can be a thing, an idea. We just write down, just make a list, all your resentments, thing that just you're angry about. So that's the first thing. And then obviously there's a process you go through to like realize how you can let go of that anger. Okay. So that's the first thing, is figuring out what your resentments are. I had like 52. I sat here listening and I'm like, dude, no wonder I'm an addict. Like, are you kidding me? I was pissed at the world, man. But that's something we never take the time to do. We maybe kind of know, but we never think it's a big deal. But that's exactly the stuff that's making us sick, as we're holding on to all this anger. So the biggest thing is going through and, okay, who am I mad at? Then it's like, what was my role in that resentment? And that's really hard, because usually we feel like we're the victim. People just, wronged us. And maybe even if that's mostly true, there's still something you did to play some kind of role in it, whether it's just letting it affect you or, you know what I mean, whatever. But like you're taking some kind of role in that. So you figure out your resentments. That leads to figuring out your fears. Okay. So we get all our resentments down on paper, then we get all our fears down on paper. And man, I had a bunch of those too, like fear of acceptance, fear of being safe, fear of not being good enough, not being cool enough, fear of dying from every disease under the sun. I had a bunch of them. So we write those down, man. And just that alone, resentments and fear, looking at that, you're like, whoa, no wonder I'm sick. I'm holding on to all this stuff. This is the stuff that's making me sick. And then the last thing is to look at all the way you've your personal relationships. So like how you've treated other people, basically how you've been selfish toward other people. And so that gets into our really deep, dark stuff that we don't like talking about, and the stuff that we feel the worst about, because we think if we tell somebody, they would never forgive us and never hang out with us again. This is the deep, dark stuff, usually sexual stuff. You know what I mean? It's usually something kind of really dark and twisted that we think we're the only one that's ever done something like that. And if anybody knew, we would be shunned from society. But the truth is, almost all of us are holding on to something like that. And okay, maybe, I mean, this is where, like, did you murder somebody? Did you molest somebody? These is like the really gross stuff that we don't like to think about, but that's the stuff that you're holding on to that's killing you. Now, it's not always that drastic, like mine weren't that drastic, but dude, some people, that's what it is. But we all have those real deep, dark things. Like, what did I do to somebody, when I was younger? Did I do something kind of crappy to somebody and hurt them? And am I holding on to that shame from that? You know what I mean? So it's getting down your resentments, your fears, and those personal relationships, the way you've harmed other people. That's the stuff that's kind of how you're thinking about it. Not like, what's making me drink? It's all those things that are making you drink. So the question is, what are these things that you're holding on to? And then, then what do we do about it? I don't know if we're going to go through the rest of the steps, but that's it's just writing them down and getting aware of what those things are.
Yeah. And I think that number 4 is that's the big one for me. I like that one. That's the one that makes me think, because I like to self-analyze, and
yeah,
I've taken many a trip down that path just to see how deep I could go into self-analysis. It's always been something that I'm interested in. And so, and I've worked with a lot of substance abusers too. I started my line of work in substance abuse counseling, and so and so working with it is always interesting to me, And so now I work in the mental health field, but there's substance abuse everywhere, and most of it's alcohol, drugs, but I work with some gambling, some sex addicts, and not very many self-proclaimed, I guess, or even proclaimed otherwise, overeaters though. And so I was very interested in delving into that topic in particular, because this is the learning process for me right now to learn more about it. Understanding that addictions are the same, the path to gratification, I guess, is different depending on what your drug of choice is or your behavior of choice, but like what you're talking about, a lot of this underlying motivation is all the same. We're getting there. The same. Yeah, we're getting there from the same origin, and that's not dealing with a lot of things that are inside. Yeah, and that's eternally interesting to me. But I want to also talk about the new album, Chris. Yeah, because this is leading into that. It's called "Welcome to the Fellowship," which I asked you before we started recording if that was. As I suspected, that was a hint of the AA or the OA rather, in this case, because it is also known as the Fellowship. And so, talk to us about that. Why that title, and what's the overarching motivation behind this, your second release album?
Yeah. So, Welcome to the Fellowship came out in November. 2018, depending on when you're listening to this. It was very timely, because I had just started this record before I went to OA, but I was just kind of doing singles. I really didn't know what the theme of the record was. I was just writing songs about what I was going through. And those were songs about, I was in a lot of pain. So I wrote a song called Pain, and, about trying to find hope. But after going to OA, I learned about the steps. I was like, this is what I want this to be about. It's going to be my entire journey through recovery. Like, it starts with the things I'm struggling with, but then by the end, it's, now I'm in recovery, things are getting better, and there's hope and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So Welcome to the Fellowship definitely was kind of developed while I was learning about the 12 steps and going through the 12 steps. I kind of wrote it at the same time that I was going through and working the steps. And yeah, I wanted it to be, welcome to we talk about the fellowship in the big book, and that's, very much, there's verbiage from the program, you know what I mean? And so I kind of wanted to use that as a way to kind of hint to that. Yeah, this is about recovery, and those who know, we'll see that and be like, okay, this probably is kind of something to do with recovery. But yeah, the whole point of this album is to make, the songs that show the struggle and the hurt and the pain and how dark it got for me. Cause I know there's a lot of people who are still in that part of it. And I want them to know that they're not alone and they're not a freak. They're not a loser. Like this, there's a lot of us. And even with OA, you mentioned you don't know a lot of people. And I think OA is kind of one of the ones that the people feel the most shame about, because everybody has to eat. And we feel like, oh, we're just a loser because we can't control our eating. So nobody talks about it. But there's a lot of shame around it. You know what I mean? But that's ridiculous. We all have the same disease. And so I just, so people who don't maybe realize there's a lot of us out there. You're not alone. So I want them to see that. But then I want them also to see the recovery and what that looks like. And I want them to see the hope that came from that I came through this stuff, and I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, but I have learned a lot and come a long way. And I just want them to see that side of it too. Like, this is where I'm headed. These are the promises that I know I can achieve a life of freedom from all this crap that's holding me down and killing me. You can have freedom, true freedom and joy. And so, yeah, that's kind of the purpose of the record. It's kind of a journey through that, the struggle and then the recovery and hope.
So with all these things that you're working through in life right now, do you have an ultimate goal of, do you have like a 5-year plan or 10-year plan or whatever? Do you have an ultimate goal on things you're wanting to get done, or are you just kind of trying to take them baby steps, step by step right now, just to see how far you can grow?
Yeah, I do have a plan. I'm pretty OCD when it comes to that stuff. Like, I love spreadsheets and stuff, and so I spend a lot of time like planning out. And I definitely have 2019 plan and a relatively 5-year plan, 3-year plan, but it's hard to put some of it into numbers. I have like revenue goals. I have email subscriber goals. I have social media goals. I have units sold goals. I have things like that I want to sign a new artist. I want to there's certain things like that. The thing I struggle with, though, is like how to make a goal out of like affecting people's lives. You know what I mean? Like, how do you put that into a SMART goal, make it specific and measurable and all that, right? So I definitely have all the revenue goals and the growth and the goals for the company, as well as my own personal, growth as an artist. And like just over this next year, I'm putting out 12 singles. I'm going to do a new single every month. And I'm also going to be putting out a new album towards the end of the year. And so I'm excited about that. And it's going to be more of this same message of recovery. And I just have a bunch of songs I'm working on and ideas. It's just all simple ideas about like things we're struggling with, and that you're not alone and that you can overcome them. That's the kind of the message. So I have those goals of things I want to put out and the numbers I want to hit. But then, my biggest goal is to really change lives. And so I have a goal of what is it? Like a million, I want to put 1 million smiles of change on, I want to put smiles of change on 1 million faces. I think that's the way I worded it. So, and how I would monetize, how I would know, I don't know. But like people, if I get 1 million letters from people saying that, hey, this changed my life, thank you. That would be, obviously one is success. I'm not saying it's not till I get 1 million that I've succeeded. Every single one is a success, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like every time I hear from somebody saying that it's changed their life, that's one step further in the goal, and also what drives me to continue to do it.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've got some that you can quantify, and some are going to be more just qualitative goals that you'll see. But
right.
1 million smiles is quantitative, I guess, but it's going to be kind of hard to maybe capture that number.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I like it though. It's super motivating. And I was thinking earlier too, Chris, when you said that you've gone so far in 7 months, I was sitting there thinking to myself, well, just, imagine what the next 7 months are going to be if you stay on track. That's something I'm always constantly reminding myself too, is if, when I've made some gains, I've reached some goals, and I've done some things, right? I got some things done, and I've done it in this amount of time, then I always think to myself, man, just imagine what I can do if I stay on track and I keep going, what this next chunk of time is going to bring. I can just imagine what the next 7 months are going to bring for you, not just with your own recovery goals and your weight loss goals, but just with Soul Motivation and everything that you do, because your whole goal, your whole premise and philosophy is that it has the foundation of motivation. And that is something that I feel like a lot of people are lacking in life. Maybe even as a component. Colt and I talk about that oftentimes, how just a lot of people they just seem to lack motivation to reach anything more than what they're doing right now, Right. And so not only do you have that as a component of your life, that is your life, that is your motivation. Motivation is your motivation, if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
So
use that. That's good.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So just of course we're going to be tracking you, and we want to encourage you, of course, and as you encourage us by doing what you do. But if you could point our listeners to everything Soul Motivation, talk about where they can reach you, where they can find you, where they can find Soul Motivation, how to buy your music, and everything you got, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. The best place to go is soulmotivationrecords.com. I just launched a new online store, which I'm super excited about it. A bunch of music there, but also I have my own line of fashion and accessories called Soulwear, and so I've been expanding that as well. And so there's a bunch of T-shirts and hoodies and beanies, and just kind of expanding into all that kind of stuff. And so definitely soulmotivationrecords.com, and you can head over to the shop and check that out from that website. I also have my own website for myself as an artist, and that's chrisswanhiphop.com. So you can also go there, but you can get to all of them from Soul Motivation Records. And then on social media, Soul Mo Records is everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So it's Soul, S-O-U-L, and Mo, M-O Records, Soul Mo Records. So that's kind of where I'm at on all the social. Again, I have my own accounts as well, which is Chris Swan Hip Hop. So whether you're looking for Soul Motivation Records, you can do that at Soul Mo, or you can find Chris Swan Hip Hop specifically. That's where Welcome to the Fellowship and all that, at Chris Swan Hip Hop. Everything is Chris Swan Hip Hop on all the different platforms. So I would love to anybody, who's struggling or in recovery or thinking about it. I mean, I would just love to hear from you and help you in any way I can. So feel free to reach out, on any kind of social media or on the website. Love to hear from you.
And Chris, do you have a blog too?
I do. Again, there's a blog on each one of those pages. So soulmotivationrecords.com, there's a blog. My recovery stuff is mainly on my chrisswanhiphop.com.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, that's kind of confusing, but all my recovery stuff is mainly on chrisswanhiphop.com. And I blog a lot about that, just about finding joy and finding freedom and how to overcome, these addictions and all that kind of stuff. I journal every day, and so I usually turn my journal into blog posts. So there's a bunch of stuff on there and a whole bunch more coming real soon. So you can definitely check that out. And I have free music available too, so you can get that on the website, on either website. You can download some free music if you want to check it out.
Awesome. Definitely want to urge anyone who's going through any kind of recovery to check all of your stuff out, because it's all geared toward the same end goal. But anybody who's seeking motivation, anybody that likes good music, check out Chris Swan, check out Soul Motivation. You won't be disappointed. And we really appreciate you coming on to open up to us today, Chris. And we should do it again sometime, man. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, we'd love to. Thanks for having me again, and just keep up the good work, man. I love what you guys are doing. So really appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you. Appreciate you, man.
You bet. All right.
And we're out.
I always thought that I was supposed to try to be perfect, but when I look up high, the twinkle in your eye tells me that I'm worth it, 'cause you love me completely. And now I don't have to try to be perfect anymore.
Being little, writing songs in my room, and not a single day would go by where I wasn't consumed. All I wanted to do and all I wanted to be was a rapper and musician for the world to see. I needed to be the best, had the love in my chest, and I was blessed with the family, taught me all the rest. And I guess I learned young, I needed everyone to like me. I just couldn't handle it if anyone would spite me. So I went to work just writing them songs, practicing piano, making beats, I couldn't go wrong. If I could get to the top, then I could show them all that I was worth something, hurt couldn't stop me at all. All I needed was perfection, then no one could ever hurt me. It's better than connection, and I'd feel like I was worthy. Surely my plan was tight, I was unstoppable. It turns out perfection, it wasn't even possible.
I always thought that I was supposed to try to be perfect, but when I look up high, the twinkle in your eye tells me that I'm worth it. 'Cause you love me completely, and I see it all around me. And now I don't have to try to be perfect anymore.
Could feel like I was a failure in life. I wasn't perfect, wasn't rich, so something just wasn't right. I had impossible goals and expectations to meet, and every time I fell short, I felt incomplete. This turned into years of feeling like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't meant to succeed in rap, I wasn't hood enough. Began to hate myself, and depression, it soon followed. Trying so hard to be perfect, it left me feeling hollow. It wasn't until I hit the bottom and found you, I started hearing less of the lies and more truths. The more I heard, I knew I had nothing I had to prove. I had one decision to make, it was easy to choose. I chose life, I chose to love who I am. A flawed human being that's part of a perfect plan. I was loved as a kid, and now I'm loved as a man. I hope the songs I write now help you understand.
I always thought that I was supposed to try to be perfect, but when I look up high, the twinkle in your eye tells me that I'm worth it. 'Cause you love me completely, and I see it all around me. And now I don't have to try to be perfect anymore. To be perfect anymore. To try to be perfect anymore.
Thank you again to our good friend Chris Swan of Soul Motivation Records, and thank you, the CEP listener. We wouldn't be doing this thing without you, so please keep coming back. And remember, of course, that word of mouth is such a great thing, so be sure to tell your friends and your family to go to Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Google Play and hit that subscribe button so that they can keep the great content coming straight to their ear holes in regular fashion. Also, be sure to visit the launching pad for all things cerebral at thecepodcast.com. And keep in mind that the cepodcast.com is currently under construction, and we are trying to get that done as quickly as possible, so it is kind of messy, but you can still get your episodes there. And actually, the PC version looks pretty good. The mobile version has some work to do. We've got to optimize the website, the design for the mobile. So go to the PC, look at it from there. It's pretty cool. You won't be disappointed. And also to mention that we have a new email address for you to contact us. The new email addy is cerebral@thecepodcast.com. Once again, the new email address is cerebral@thecepodcast.com. You can send submissions there for the playlist, or you can contact us for booking information, or you can just contact us for whatever. Give me your opinions. Tell me what you're thinking. I don't even care if it's about the show. Whatever. Just say hi. Also, of course, remember to give us a like and a follow on the socials. As always, we need you there. We need some social love. Who doesn't, right? So go there, give us some love, give us a like and a follow and a share. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all are great. And so until next time, please remember to keep your brains warm. Okay, we're in 2019. Got to do it. Let's get it done. We'll see you.